Oh,
All right. So credibility and money. What's the first thing comes to mind?
for me, what's the first thing comes to mind is really, and you and I actually talked about this topic not long ago. And I
Yes.
had another interview with someone, I guess about a month back. And since those interviews, I've really started to dissect the idea of credibility and really just look at the word. What does it mean to be credible, right? To provide, in this case, like in coaching, to provide the other party with grounds to believe you, right? So where the potential, in this case, clients or coachees have grounds to think that what you're telling them is true. And from that standpoint, credibility is hugely important, and you can come about credibility so many different ways. And we'll talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I what I've seen a lot, and a lot of my students, and I'm sure your students are asking, and of course program participants, is that they get all this knowledge, they get the tools, they're ready to help people, but like, how do I get started? And none of us had that credibility when we started, right? So we created it, we established it, we did many things to get to this point. So let's give them a couple of tips and advices. What is it that they can do?
So what do you think from a credibility standpoint? Like, what do you think is one of the top pieces to having credibility in the eyes of a potential client?
Well, the top thing is to have the knowledge, skills, and attitude to help the client, right?
Agreed.
The top thing is that client says, this guy can help me, right? This guy can solve my problem. Or the coachee will say, this person will help me to get where I want to get. That's the top. Without that, I don't care for any other credibility and titles and certifications that you have. Or right? What do you think?
So how do you? That's a good kind of line of thought, I think, to follow. So you may have that attitude, that knowledge, that skill, that real desire, and that ability to help other people. How does the person who's approaching you, who perhaps wants to approach you, how do they know that? How do they know it?
It's exactly what we're talking about now. How do they, you have all of this, and you haven't started coaching or training or facilitating programs or doing consulting or speaking engagement, right? Different focuses. How do you get to that first one, first client, first speaking gig, first consulting gig?
Yeah. And a lot of it, I think, comes down to the first piece that you said, the attitude, right? So if you have that whole package, right? If you have the attitude, the skills, the knowledge, you have the ability to do it, what oftentimes stands out most is the attitude, right? That conviction that the way you speak about what you do.
Right?
Yes, the mindset
that, yes, I can do this because I have knowledge, skill, and attitude, right?
Yeah.
I can really do this. Setting up your mindset for success.
Yeah. I tell my clients all the time is to be tenacious with making certain that your mindset, your own mindset, is on point. Because if you're not tenacious with your own mindset, then all of the other things, all of the other credibility, the awards that you have, the degrees, the certifications, they mean
nothing.
They mean nothing. I've been in this space, and you and I have worked together for many years in some capacity and partnered on many different projects and been very successful in a lot of areas.
Mm-hmm.
And in this space, and you and I have chatted about this, I can't even imagine how many clients I've had. I currently run a mastermind for select clients. I've never once, and I don't know, you can answer if maybe you have, I don't know. I've never once had a client ask me where my certifications are from. Never.
Same thing.
All of my time.
That's the thing I tell my students, right? It's the same thing. I personally never ever. So it's actually interesting, a good discussion. So I asked this question, someone without mentioning name, who's like really well known in the industry of positive psychology, like really well connected with Marty and everybody else, right? So, and basically she said that, you would need some certifications. And then when we started talking more, it's really, if you think about you worked a lot with the government agencies. I don't do that. I don't deal with government agencies. I made that decision that I don't want to do it. But they might ask, right? Depending what they want you to do, they will ask for certain certifications because they have a certain criteria to fill. It's just a standard form.
Yes, on the business side of things, you're right. Yeah, from the corporate
business
side, or in this case, the organizational side. Yeah,
organization side, but not on the individual. Correct. That's really what I want to make it clear. So if you're dealing with, have another individual that I was talking to the other day, she's from Costa Rica, and she's in my other mastermind from the PPMC group. And basically she said that in Costa Rica, they are establishing this process where you really need to have certain certifications. So it all depends on the country, place you're with. But this is, again, for business, but one-on-one,
yeah, for people to want to work with you, I think certifications and the training are important for you internally, right? To gain the skills and to feel more confident in your ability to actually help people, to go into any coaching situation with the mindset is, I'm going to give so much freaking value. Like, I'm going to provide my clients with so much value and help them to achieve their goals. And the training and the certifications help with that, because it gives you that backbone, that spine of confidence that, yeah, I got this. I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to make some horrible mistakes, but it's that mindset of, man,
right. But
I'm on point.
Just to add one more thing to what you said, and I know you and I agree with this. Well, actually, you can disagree now a lot. But seriously, what I always also tell them is, don't take a certification for the sake of certification. There are so many fake things out there, right? And don't worry, that piece of paper means nothing. The only reason you want to get certification, to be certified, is because you are going to learn. So stick with someone who really has that knowledge, who's dedicated to helping coaches and helping people. Otherwise, getting the piece of paper means nothing.
I would not disagree with you on that at all. Okay. I would not even come close to disagreeing with you on that. I think, and this is from two guys who respectively certify people as coaches, right? So we're
yes.
So we're almost, but in truth, we recognize that the certification piece is really just a way to acquire the skills. And in a lot of ways, as you're going through a certification and you're gaining those skills, what are you doing? You're building up your confidence that you have the ability to help other people. That's really what you're doing. And the skill set to make sure that you're not maybe steering somebody down the wrong path. You can feel pretty confident that you're acting more as a guide than you are, in this case, as an advisor telling people what to do.
Yes. I mean, look, if you do this in person and you want to, hang a couple of certs in your office, that's fine, right? Client will appreciate that, right? But generally, again, in this global economy, in this virtual world that we're living with now, and we will be living forever, regardless, COVID will go away, but this is not going anywhere, right? It's just increasing. So then it really don't matter, because it's all about helping your client get where they want to get. I mean, that's really what it is.
It is. So with that in mind, let's maybe dig it down a little bit further. So if we're agreeing, and the folks who are watching this video, if you guys are agreeing with us that keeping that mindset on point is important, how do we go about doing that, right? Because that's a challenge, because there are days that we all wake up. I wake up sometimes and I feel like shit. Right? The allergy season, lately, I was off, off of things for a bit, and I'm back up on my feet now. But I think we all do that. So how do you make sure that you don't carry that into your day, and that when your mindset is way off point, that you pull it back, that you get it back on point?
And it will get off point. There's no question about it for all of us, right? Just life happens. How do you keep, there are many ways. I was actually thinking this morning, as you know, I do my exercise first meditation. And actually, it's funny, I got to tell you, I just started I just started I started a while back, but I introduced new heat exercises. So I did like 10 minutes heat
Oh, wow.
for beginners and spinning.
Nice.
And you know, what I'm thinking is going years back, right? When I started doing exercise and meditation and the business, it's really about two things. It's about focus and consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you have these two things, if you have a focus on what your end goal is, or hopefully in this case, what your calling is, right? What you really, your calling is to help other people. We always, talk about not business. Yes, you have to make money, but your first thing is you want to help other people. It's not about money right now. It's about helping others. Money will come.
Money will come.
Agree?
Money will come. Money will come. The money comes if you go. And I have this thing where I can talk to my clients and the folks in my mastermind about, and I put a monetary value on this. And the only reason I put a monetary value on it is to keep me really focused. So it goes like this. So anytime I have any interaction with clients or even with group members, what I'm trying to do in my own mind is during that interaction, whether it's a 5-minute interaction or a 20-minute interaction, whatever it is, I want to provide $1,000 worth of value to them. Now that's just an arbitrary number, right? And many times the things that I'm saying are probably not worth $1,000, but I'm going into it like, I want to provide you so much value that you come away with something. And when I take that approach, right, that just puts me in the giving and not expecting, because I think a lot of folks, right, we get into this and we do Facebook groups, we do posts, we do all this work. And what do? We're disappointed when we don't get a lot of engagement. And what that really indicates is that we're expecting, right? We think, well, I'm doing all this work, I'm doing all these things, the world owes me something.
They don't owe you nothing.
Even just being aware of that, the world doesn't owe you anything. The world doesn't owe me anything. People watching this video don't owe me anything. So I'm not expecting anything. I'm just looking to put good stuff out into the world. And I know from experience, and I mean, we've worked together for years. You know that you can be extremely successful, both spiritually, emotionally, and financially in this space just by doing really good work and helping people.
So let's get a little, dig a little bit deeper, right? So yes, they're ready. They want to help others. They want to give a lot of value. They create that mindset, which again, we should just have separate discussion or many discussions just on mindset.
Probably a lot of discussion,
right? Yeah. And they focused and they started that consistency, whatever that means for them, on daily basis, doing something. Is it 50 minutes, 30 minutes, 3 hours? I don't care, right? But it's consistent toward their goal, the focus toward the goal. But there are still things that they will have to do in order to get to where they want to get, right? So let's say, they could decide, and I'm sure, your clients, your students, my students, your program participants, they have a very similar, actually, it was funny yesterday, somebody just said, I'm sorry, I forgot the name, but basically the individual said, oh, such a great, group, you and Patrick, sorry, I'll miss it. So, so what do we, so let's go to some specifics. So let's say they want to do coaching, right? We'll start with coaching. There's so many different, let's say they want to become
like an individual coaching, have a client hire them. Okay.
Individual coach. So, and we talk about credibility, money, to be a little more specific. So what are the things that they can do? So that their name will pop up somewhere.
Okay.
Because it has to, but let's be honest, right? It's really hard. People don't know you. They know
you have to. Yeah. And I think I have an answer for this. And I think I have a pretty solid answer based off of the track record of working with people and doing this myself. Is yes, you start with the mindset, and then you have to toot your own horn. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean that you're not a humble person. I mean that if you have something good that you believe in, you have to be the person who shouts from the rooftops. You have to tell every single person that you know that you can help them, and here's how you can help them. And you got to spread that message, because if you're not spreading the message, who's going to spread it for you? So literally going out and telling your neighbors, your family members, your friends, anybody who you come in contact with, here's what I do and here's how I can help you.
Yes, that's absolutely true. 100% agree. Without that, nothing happens. We were just talking the other day with another person about the book publishing, and the work starts when the book is published. So because you have to do all the promotions, but in today's world, right, where so much is virtual, you and I come from the world where we started. It was all about your neighbors and friends,
connections,
and family and colleagues.
people
Still,
shaking hands,
I
chest
think
bumps.
that doesn't go away.
No.
We don't shake hands now physically, but connections, network is huge.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
that was it. I mean, the network that I had was always everything for my business. But there are also things that they could do, simple things. As you said, shout from the rooftop. Maybe that shouting is create a blog, publish something, all right? Create a YouTube channel. Some of my students are doing.
And Braco, I will say this, I will add to this and say that, yes, maybe the world is connected a little bit different than when we came up. Like when we came up in this space many years ago, it was a lot more face to face.
Everything was face to face.
Yes. Right, but here, let me, I'll preface this by saying that I have had, Mary was in one of my masterminds, and the mastermind was, I think at that point I charged about $6,000. I met Mary in a grocery store. It was just, I don't even remember how the conversation started. We all go to the grocery store. If you have kids, you go to soccer practice, you go to baseball practice, you interact in your community. Most of us do. Maybe this year has sucked for everybody. Right? We've been locked down on this COVID thing. But even that, I mean, the majority of people are getting out and doing things. You're interacting with people. So yes, the blogs and all that stuff, I 100% agree with you. But if we find ourselves saying, well, I don't have any interaction with people, you probably live around people, right? You probably talk to your neighbor across the fence at least.
Right.
Do they know what you do?
Yeah.
Right? Do they know how you can help people? Because they're the ones who are going to tell other people, and that conversation comes up. So, and I've talked to you about this too. I've been in my own business for, I guess, nearly 20 years, and I've never done any strategic, quote unquote, marketing. It's been organic marketing.
Yeah, you and I had many discussions about it.
Just organic marketing, just trying to do a really damn good job, so people will reach their goals and then tell other people.
Yeah,
like I commercial. Remember that old commercial? What was the shampoo commercial? They tell two people, then they tell two people. I remember from years ago. It's like that ripple, that wave,
and that really works beautifully. I think today it's probably a combination. If you look at so we have like a range of participants and the people that we coach, right? From really young individual to seniors. And I think for the younger people, they are more into this, right? Meaning, online and whatever that means. They grew up with this thing, right?
Yes.
And you and I did not. And we learn how to use it, and we're learning how to use this thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's probably, I think what both of us are saying, it's a combination of these two, do everything you can to do this, online, if you will, all right? And then at the same time, expand your network everywhere. I mean, there are so many platforms today, right? And this is another thing that we should talk about. It also depends where your clients are. And, I started talking about how our clients are from, younger, kids to
and all over the world, yes.
And all over the world, right? So your approach has to be adjusted to that, right? Mm-hmm. And some of the younger individuals, they might have clients on, TikTok. I'm not there yet, but I'm hearing now everybody. Okay, I'll go on TikTok too.
Yeah. It's addicting, by the way.
I know, but I think it's addicting. But I don't think it's going to be addicting for you and I and people like us.
No, I'm because it's the old swipe.
Yes. But I think for younger folks or anybody who wants to do all these ton of things online, as long as they focus on a business piece, this is not for fun.
Yeah,
it's all about business.
It is.
So being on all these online platforms is business. Mm-hmm. If you take it for fun, then that's not a business.
Yeah. I agree. Yes. So shout. So right to your point. Shout from the rooftops every way that you possibly can, And again, that goes hand in hand with mindset, because what keeps people from, and I've worked with people on this, many clients work on this, what keeps most people from shouting from the rooftops is not having that belief in themselves. Right? Okay, I'm pretty good, but maybe I need some more training. I'm pretty good, but I think I'm pretty good at this, but I'm not 100% sure. Or can I really switch gears and become this kind of person that I want to become when everybody knows me a different way? Right? Can I do that? Or is the world going to look at me strange? And my answer is to yes, you damn can. You can be whoever you want. Starting right now. You can begin right now and become who you want to become.
You
right?
are
we're always changing. Yeah. We're always changing. Half the time, this big thing of knowing exactly who you are all the time. I'm in my mid 50s. Some days I wake up, I don't know who I am, but I decide who I am. I have an intention of who I'm going to be. And that keeps, I think that intention of who you're going to be in the world, how you're going to deal with people, how you're going to interact with people. That's what really matters. That's what keeps you on track. And I think that's what draws people to you. It's not to have all the answers, not that to be this life's guru, but to be the person who's got an intention, who's going to provide me a lot of value. And I'm even thinking of the coaches who I've hired in the past. I'm not presently right this moment still working with a coach, but I was up until fairly recently, and I have over the years, and I will have another coach. I never asked her what her credentials were. I just believed in her. There were things that she had to offer me that I just saw in her. So there's that way. They're shouting from the rooftops. And then actually the modern day stance, and it's a little different, I think, for you and I, and more of a mental roadblock, at least for me, is credibility, again, is providing people with the grounds to believe you. So what you'll see a lot of people do in this kind of public space now, especially with the internet and the phones and the TikToks and all that, is they're actually showing you their revenue. Right. They're showing, like, that's another way of credibility, right? Okay, here I've done really well in my business, and I'll show you the checks that came in. So I guess that's somewhat visibility. You can look at it like visibility into the window of your business as you progress. I think you and I, at least, I grew up that you never talk about how much money you really make, and you don't ask people how much money they make. So it's a block, but the younger generation seems to put that aspect of credibility out there. Hey, look, I just made $100,000, and I'll show you where all that money comes from. I'm not 100% there yet. And whether I ever will be, I don't know if you need to be.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, they still have to be careful with this if they are looking for another person credibility through these numbers, because I'm often skeptical, and there are a lot of fake people out there. So
you never know. That's the thing.
I really don't, unless I know you well, I'm not going to trust you because you're going to show me you're making $5 million a year. I just, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's a Google Analytics. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it looks good. And sometimes you don't know, but I'm just saying it's another piece that some of the younger generation coming up seem to be using from a standpoint of credibility, a way to have people believe you. But I think the best way to have people believe you and give people grounds to believe you is to be believable. Right?
Yes.
To simply be believable.
And what you were talking about earlier, who you want to be and how you're going to become that. Also, to always keep in mind to be authentic, be yourself. There's no reason, learn from others, but don't try to be someone else, who's making $5 million, right? I know you and I share this often, but when I used to do this, Global Dale Carnegie training and coaching, we worked for one of the franchises, right? So there were two owners, husband and wife. And when I was doing teaching, the owner would come to me and says, "You can't do this. Just, you're too enthusiastic. This is too much." And the husband would come and say, "Brat, just be yourself. People will get to know you. Be yourself." All right. You don't have to adjust. And that's why there's another discussion you and I had about online training, right? Where we just talk to the camera, and that's fine. But it almost like becomes at some point acting, right?
You just have to talk you have to be yourself, be 100%, because when you try to be somebody else, it never works out really well.
Exactly.
It just doesn't. I mean, right. Bring me back as Brad Pitt, maybe, but aside from, and with the whole lifestyle and all the trimmings and trappings, I'll take them all.
Yes.
Aside from that, just keep me Patrick Howell, because that
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
the only way to be. But I know that that I'm hoping that so far this episode or this time on camera has been helpful to folks, and you and I are planning on doing this a little bit more on a regular basis, and also pulling in some discussion from some of our students and from some other leaders in this space. So hopefully everybody will find these valuable and be able to get something out of it that's actionable in their lives.
Yes, yes, yes. So we'll be doing a lot more. We'll be covering different subjects. We'll be bringing a lot more people. So this is just to get started to see how this is going. So awesome. Hey, Patrick, it was fun discussion,
Yes,
right?
it was great. Okay, so everybody, until the next time, which won't be very long from now, we'll talk to you then.
Cool. Talk to you then.
Okay.
Cheers.
All right. Bye
Take care.
now.
Bye bye.